3, 2, 1.
All right, Joe? Okay, the P200 has a fantastic Sony image module. It gives you 30 times zoom, great for any size room. It's great in low light and has awesome color rendition. On top of that, we have our BirdDog NDI processing engine, which gives you the highest quality pictures at the lowest latency. It's compatible with any NDI device on the planet and just gives you the best outputs. We have our brand new user interface with NDI version 5, which gives you waveforms and vector scopes to make sure you're properly exposed. It also gives you unlimited control as far as color control and using your camera. In addition to this, it sounds strange, but we can do pan, tilt and zoom at the same time. Try some other cameras, they can't all do it. The P200 is a fantastic camera that's got every type of connection you could want, from NDI with power over Ethernet, SDI, HDMI, any control interface. It's got a great big tally on the top. It's a really great camera. How to do with the time? And the cool thing is, for a limited time, if you buy 3 P200s, you get a free PTZ controller.
Here we go!
Well, it is that time again, everybody. Hope you are doing well. My name is BirdDog John, and I am back in action.
In those scenarios, it's good to neuralize the cameras. You guys know that best.
Very straightforward. Plug it in, go to the web UI, link the source, walk away. You know, like super simple. I keep looking over at the chat and I keep seeing you are full of it. Tasty, spicy meat snacks. Covered in flavor. I mean, you can't go wrong. So what's going on? We've got a handful of folks here in the chat, and I really appreciate that. What's up, mate? Hey, Warren, how are you? Appreciate it. Hey, Robbie, how's it going, man? You're just talking about you. What's going on, Tom? Ahoy. How is it going? What's going on, GoWeb? Good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out with us again today. Appreciate that. Feel like I'm in this video more than anyone but John. It's true, NetApp. You are, I'm going to cut this up and put this in the next intro. Well, here we go. Let's do this again. I am BirdDog John. Thank you so much for coming on by and hanging out with us today. Hopefully you're doing well and things are looking up and up. It's Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody. I got my coffee, and then I've got my coffee, and then I've got a whole thing of water. And the exciting news is today is the return of Snacks on Stream. And so we will be doing a little bit of that. The boys here in the office have put together a couple of things while I grabbed the warheads, because I found those at the store the other day, and I thought, oh, that looks like something I might try. So sour, sweet, fruity, chewy candy. Those are all a whole bunch of things that they've just mashed together on the label. But yeah, there you go. So, and then my buddy Balu, he's hooked me up with the 10 grams of protein Gatorade Zero with protein, zero sugar protein thirst quencher powder. That's a mouthful as well. So we're going to give that a try a little bit later. So Snacks on Stream is here today, and we are up and running. So hopefully you can hear just as well. Now, a good streamer would check in on his stream and make sure that the audio is actually coming through on the other side. So there it is, and I can absolutely hear it. I love my RE20, and I love I've turned off all the stupid intelligent muting and ducking and all of that crap that is between vMix and StreamYard and a bunch of other stuff. And so now I think I've got it to where I actually like it the most that I've ever liked it. And I came around all this, by the way, because I was making that second intro video like a week or two ago, and realized that the audio was all over the place. Like it wasn't consistent at all. And I did my best to recover as much of it as I could, but yeesh, that was a realization that I needed to do a little work. So good stuff there. You may have also remembered that on Tuesday we had a P240 in the office. That camera is now back with the support agents, and they are working on that. And so, wonderful day is that we return to the trusty P110, which is a little off center apparently, but the 110 is back, and she's up in the bird's nest, hanging out, kind of up in the corner. So she's back for now. We got to run some tests because, little insider secret here, I have a beta that fixes a problem, we hope, and we're just going to verify it here in support before we make that available. So that's the hope, that the fix is done. And it was just something about, like, it was like a quirk where it's like if you mount the camera upside down, then the preset doesn't call right. So it's listed as one of the known function issues that we have with it, and they've been working with the manufacturer and with the engineers to get that all sorted out. So obviously that's a game changer if that doesn't get fixed, and so they've produced that actually quite quickly. So excited that that might be done. We will double check it, and on Tuesday I can let you know if that's a real deal. And it may actually go live before then if it is done. So there you go. Who knows? But yeah, you come to the support show to find out that those little secrets that are in the work. So what's going on, Alex? Hey, thanks for stopping by again. Appreciate it. You're becoming a familiar face. Pandorica, what's going on? Happy Thursday. We've had some exciting conversations, me and Pandorica today, so that's good stuff. Go Web, greetings as always. Welcome back, bud. Good to see you. Hopefully things in India are going well. Oh, and Sanaya's here. Hey, what's going on? Hopefully you're doing well too. It's good to hear that you're well, maybe it's a little late, isn't it? Hopefully you've had a good day and getting ready to have a good night. So Petra, what's going on with you? Oh my, I'm cool to see that you have been heavily on my mind. I just ordered 3 P120s 30 minutes ago. Wow. Well, welcome to the show. I'm super excited that you ordered the P120s. They are the next step up in the P100 series, and so you have made a wise decision. You got any questions? You want to talk about it? You want to? I'm an open book in regards to that. So yeah, let me know. And if I don't know, then probably there might be a support agent or two. They've all been actually pretty busy the past couple of weeks, so they haven't been as active in the chat as they normally are because they've been getting a lot of work done. So we came back from Thanksgiving here in the U.S., and it had a fair bit of work because, you know, the rest of the world didn't quit. And so we had a fair bit of work to get through, and they just like went full on. And by the end of that week, the week after Thanksgiving, we were pretty much caught up. Now we've had some influxes of products that have come in that needed to be looked at, which were being held before Thanksgiving. So we kind of got like 2 weeks worth of work, I think, the week following. But so they've been kind of showing up in droves, and they've been working through them. But it's all good. We're getting through it, and I'm pretty excited that with the progress that they've been making. So that's good. Michael Graves, the man, the myth, and the legend. How's it going? Hopefully you're doing well. Linwood, loving my P200 and P120 at Duke University. Oh, that's cool. Hey, do me a favor. Do you have any sort of like any pictures with those cameras in that environment? Because you know who would eat that up is the head of marketing. He would love to see those cameras at Duke. So if you have any sort of photo or anything that you'd be willing to share and you're allowed to share, then shoot it over to the help desk and just say, hey, John mentioned to send this over, and just send it to help@birddog.tv, and we'd be happy to pass that along to marketing because they eat that stuff up. They love it when their cameras show up in cool places, and that definitely is one of them. So Brayton's here. Morning, Brayton. Hopefully you're doing well. I mean, I know you're doing well, but you know, it's my go-to. 120 and 200 are priced pretty close together. I would agree. They are priced pretty close together currently because the launch of the 240, right? So on Tuesday we had the 240 here in the office, and we were using it in the roost, which is where my P110 is right now. And yeah, it's I mean, let's say it's easily the 200's equal. We'll put it that way. But there are some things on there, and I didn't even really have a lot of time to set it up and monkey around with settings. But it was really easy for me to get it to match the studio lighting here in in this studio. And yeah, it seems to have been like they've used the 200 platform, and then they've thought through a few other adjustments, and that like the black level stuff on there is really tight and really cool. So the 200 and the 120 are definitely now pitched fairly close together, and it depends on your application. Like we've had a lot of orders for the 120 where they need a smaller form factor, and they want to mount these in places that are a little more discreet. And the 200 is great, and it has a fair bit of features that would are beneficial, but the 120 can kind of can sneak in places that the 200 can't necessarily. So everybody's got their use cases, and I'm excited to see more as the 110 and 120 kind of roll out and become more of a regular unit. They have been, how do I say this? So the P200 is like our flagship camera, right? Like it's one of our best-selling cameras of all time. From what I understand, the P100 and the the P110 and the 120 have been selling equally as quickly as when we launched the P200. So the popularity of that camera is comparable to the way that the 200 launched. And that's really great. If that's any indication of the market and how the BirdDog camera fleet is being received, especially when new products get to market. That's great. I'm excited because the future can very much so be very bright. So, yeah, good stuff. It's been a whirlwind of a year. I cannot believe we're into December. I'm making plans for like January right now, and it's just blowing my mind because if you've been on the show this year, at the end of the month, I'm always like, well, that month is over. I say that, and I feel like I say that all the time. Like the time just keeps churning by. And we've done a lot this year, like BirdDog. I won't do a year review. Maybe that will be a show though. Ooh, that's a great idea. But I owe GoWeb an audio show first, and I think we're gonna plan that for next week. And the guys that I want on the show, I need to ask to have them join us in that conversation. Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe I should ask like Glenn. Okay, so I've got some ideas, and I want that audio show to be more than just me tinkering around with audio stuff. I want it to actually be like a conversation, and I think and to contrast it against Dante. So let me see if I can drum up some folks to join me for that conversation, and then we can kind of go down that road. But I'm not going to do that today. I want to do that maybe next week, and I have it here on the note. Where's my note? I have the note that show has been requested, so I'm going to shoot for next week and try and get that to happen. Let me send some emails today and figure that out, but that's the plan. So I won't do a year review. We're not quite there yet. I've got 4 more shows after this one for 2022. And then, of course, as I mentioned on Tuesday, we are planning on closing the support office for a week. So everybody hang on. It's okay. But it's during the Christmas holidays. It's the week after Christmas. So Christmas is on a Sunday this year. And that week, so Christmas is observed on the 26th. And then, Christmas Eve is observed on the 26th federally, and then Christmas Day is observed on the 27th. So those 2 days were closed for a federal holiday, and then the last 3 days were closed for the Christmas break. So we will be back on the 3rd of January because New Year's Day is observed on the 2nd this year. So we'll be back on the 3rd, which is a Tuesday, and I will host a show on the 3rd to start the new year. And but that's kind of the schedule going forward, is we will miss 2 shows on the, what would that be? That would be the 27th and the 29th. Those 2 shows will not be happening, and the support office will be closed. So I cannot guarantee that anyone will be checking in that week because I'm not going to require anybody to do that. but you're being warned. And honestly, and they're like, well, you're only telling the people that are on the stream. It's like, well, these are the people that matter, right? You made the effort to come to the show. No, I'm kidding. The everybody's a VIP. Anyway, so we we'll be closed for that week, and we want to get that message out. It is also in the ticketing auto response. If you open a ticket through email, you're going to get an auto response that says, hey, just a heads up, we're going to be closed that week. So we're trying to get the message out, probably put something up on socials just so that people are aware. But if people are freaking out online that week, please do them a favor and say, well, John's been announcing it for like a whole month and a half. I started talking about this when we started talking about closing for Thanksgiving. So everybody needs to chill. What improvements does the 240 sensor have over the 200? Well, it's actually a different sensor. I don't know how much I'm allowed to like get into that detail, but it's actually a different sensor, and it gives you deeper color control than the 200 is able to do. So black level in particular. As a matter of fact, I was very surprised to see the granular black level adjustment on that camera, and that it hadn't dawned on me that that would be available because of the sensor that they're using. But it allows you to dial in your colors a lot more precisely because you have not just contrast and brightness control, but you actually have the true black level control. And so that is like next level broadcast camera lens level stuff. All right. And it's so funny because we get tickets in the help desk all the time that are like, professional broadcast cameras have Kelvin. And yeah, okay, that's kind of that's a philosophy, we'll say. But Sony lenses actually don't have Kelvin control. Panasonic ones do. And so it's actually a brand type of thing. The lower level Sony ones that are in like Sony Handycams, they have Kelvin control, but the broadcast level lenses don't, because they kind of assume that you're using a colorist. And so we have to do some training and showing like, here's how you manipulate color with a broadcast Sony lens. But you know, the idea that real cameras have Kelvin control, that's not actually true. You know, like if you're actually going to query the market, perhaps the statement is all the cameras I've ever used have Kelvin control. That might be true. But real, like legit broadcast lenses that go to like, well, let's just say big name corporation medias, you know, broadcast medias, TV level stuff, those ones, Kelvin is kind of like entry level color control. They're going to be more interested in the color matrix and more interested in being able to manipulate the reds and being able to manipulate the blues and the greens and all of that sort of stuff. So it's one of those things that it's like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. And it is a big convenience level thing to just be able to like, 5,500 Kelvin, that's what our lights are, setting it at that and walking away. You know, but in many regards, these cameras are, and now we're getting into like the theology or the philosophy of all of this, not theology. Now we're getting into the philosophy of all this. It's like, well, it's actually a tool that's helping you be creative. And so in many regards, you want to dial it in specifically for your use case. It's very subjective. It's not like you could read a manual and know exactly how to set the color. What you want to do is find out who makes the final call, and then what do you want the image to look like? And so great example is this studio. It has evolved over the ages. And if you go back in the archives, you can see how my show has evolved over time. You know, and how things have progressively, hopefully, gotten better. Audio, video, camera angles, switching, all that stuff has kind of evolved over time. And I think it's gotten progressively better over that period. Now, again, subjectively, you may disagree, but be that as it may, when we talk about making broadcast level cameras to do productions, the camera has the functionality to manipulate color. But how do you want to utilize it, right? And that's not something that I can write a manual about and tell you this is the proper way to colorize your video. It's a subjective thing. It's like, how do you take photos? Well, it's like based on what you think looks good, not what I think looks good, or not what somebody else some other professional thinks looks good. It's up to you. It's your subjective eye that captures the photo, and that's why then you pick the camera you want to pick. Are you going to use a power shot, or are you going to use a DSLR, or are you going to use something else? All of those questions end up being, how do you want to use the device? And so that conversation of when people come to us and they're like, well, this camera doesn't do what I want it to do. It's like, well, what were you trying to do? Right? It's not just okay, no problem. Like, sorry about that. It's, well, what were you trying to do? Because 9 times out of 10, it actually does do the thing you want it to do, but it probably is more involved than what you were hoping for. We have a lot of folks that buy our cameras and they set them to full auto and they start driving them around and they wonder, why doesn't the picture look like like broadcast quality? Well, it's because broadcasters have colorists and they have guys that are dialing in the shot every single time. And so they're specializing their shot to make it appropriate for television or for online or whatever. And so people buy a expensive camera and they put it in their church or their studio or whatever, and they turn it on and it doesn't look like a broadcast camera. And they think, oh, like I thought I was buying like a one press button, everything was going to be done for me. And that's not necessarily the case. They're very sophisticated cameras, and your situation is going to be different than mine, than Jack's, than Frink's, than, whoever. So there's there's a conversation to be had. And if I'm to be perfectly honest, it's a super exciting conversation because the possibilities for what you're planning to do are honestly endless. Like your productions could go from 0 to 10 really fast. But what do you want to use it for? What's your goal? What's the end game? What's the, what are you trying to get to? I've had multiple sessions, remote sessions with customers who are like, can you just remote in and fix my cameras? And again, the conversation always then starts with, well, what do you think looks good? What are you going for here? And they're like, well, it's too red. It's like, okay, we can do something about that. Or it's too cold. Okay, we can do something about that. Or I can show you how you can manipulate those things. But if it's like the camera doesn't turn on, that's different, right? It's like, okay, the camera doesn't do what I want it to do. I want it to turn on. Okay, that's one thing. But if it's just like it doesn't look what I thought it was going to look like when I turned it on full auto, oh, well, there's a reason for that. It's because you have specific lighting. We need to make sure that the camera understands what sort of lighting you have and set it up that way. So good times, great oldies. All right, let's keep going through. You guys are up in the chat here. So, and Nate, I totally went off on like a rant. So sorry to get detracted. To kind of like, I think I answered your question. The black level thing is really cool. There are a bunch of other changes too, like other options that the sensor gives us because it's honestly a better sensor than the 200. That allow you to kind of dial things in a lot quicker, but also, again, like black level is a big thing. Getting accurate blacks and that sort of thing is makes or breaks the image. To be honest with you, it helps make it work well. So, I for one am ready for a late January. Yeah. That's the update, right? Which update was that for again? I can't remember. It's been a while. There's a few of them out there. Are we going to do a year-end show on 12/22? Yes, I think we will, actually. I think that is the plan. So let's plan on that. I'm going to write that down right under GoWeb's audio show that I'm promising him next week. So let's, I got a pen here. There we go. Maybe I'll see how many BirdDog employees would be available to do an end-of-year show. Maybe I'll see if I can get some Australians. What time is it over there? The time is... At the tone, the time will be... okay, so in Aussie land in Melbourne, it's 3:24 a.m. So I think the only guy I could get for that show is Eamon, because he's crazy, and he would be totally down to wake up and be blurry-eyed for the show. But yeah, let me see what I can. Let me see who I could drum up. It'd be fun to get some people on. Have a little round table. Let's reminisce about the year. That'd be all right. That'd be kind of fun. Jack says, can the 120 really zoom in tighter than the 240? No. The 240 technically has a 40 times zoom, and the 120 has a 20 times zoom. So I'm going to say no at this point. What's going on? Hey, it's Ian, right? Is that correct? It's a different spelling of Ian than I've seen before, but I have a cousin named Ian, but I'm assuming it's Ian. Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for checking in on LinkedIn. Really appreciate that. Hey, I have 3 P400s. I'm looking to buy another 6. Oh, man, that's huge. That's for you. Buying another 6 P400s. That's pretty great. What are you using them for? I'm all about finding out more about that. Scopes trumps units of measure. It's true. Scopes are a very valuable thing, and that is why they are integrated in the NDI5 option, because you can enable scopes right on the preview or program window and get that color dialed in if you know how to use scopes. And if you don't know how to use scopes, go to youtube.com and say, how do I use color scopes? Because there's 1,000 tutorials out there as to how to use them, and that would be then a tool in your arsenal that not everybody has. So careful. Utilize is my trigger word. Makes me turn. Mr. Graves, good to have you on here, man. How does NDI work over the internet? So you have to generally convert NDI, because with BirdDog NDI, you have to convert it over to some sort of internet protocol transport. So SRT is the go-to. It's kind of one of the standards right now. And BirdDog Cloud will convert NDI over to SRT and then revert it back or reassemble it back to NDI on the other side. So you can transport it that way from point to point. So you could go from your production location to your production studio, or remote location to production studio. So that's the way that we generally like to transport it. You could use something like NDI Bridge. You do lose a little bit. I'm sure they're going to improve that product over time. But as it is right now, BirdDog Cloud is really the way to do it. And if you want, you can get a free trial of that. BirdDog Cloud 3.0 was just launched. It's a beta program for 3.0. And it is a step up from 2.0. And so I would just go to, I think it's birddog.cloud is the website. And you can say try now. You can set up for a free trial and give it a go. See how it works for you and see kind of what makes sense. And then there are various pricing structures. So if you only need it for a certain amount or for certain reasons or seasons, then yeah, you can light it up that way. But NDI over the internet, you have to convert it to some sort of internet acceptable protocol. Other protocols that are out there, what RTMP is an option, I think, that you can get it up, and you can because then you can link it up to like a video server or something like that, which is you can use an RTMP stream with StreamYard, for example. But the easiest and cleanest way is to get it into cloud, and then you can route it anywhere you want it to go and into whatever studio you want. So if you've got multiple locations and multiple production studios, or like you're a one-man band, and you want to send the remote camera out to the location and set it up for cloud, and then you just work from home. That's also very doable. So there are options there. CCU operators, aka shaders. There you go. Michael knows his stuff, man. Jeremy, what's happening? I was thinking of you today because I got my Ember mug. How are you? Hopefully you're doing well. A little shout out to Jeremy. And Ember Mugs, keeping your coffee curdled since 2019. I'm busy again. I've missed several broadcasts. It's okay. You're always welcome whenever you come back. We will always welcome you back. Hey, Michael Graves, at our church, we were also called Enthusiasm Assistance. It was a great spot to be in. I love the rant. I'm glad I didn't scare you off. One issue, I know it's the physics of the lens, is that when I zoom with the P200, the image gets darker as I zoom, when using manual exposure? Does the 240 have improvements to maintain exposure as it zooms? Okay, that's not an issue. That is physics. Okay? So what's happening there is as the optical lens is zooming, right? It's actually moving, it's physically moving. And the lumens that are entering the glass are actually less than when you're zoomed out. And so what's happening is the actual physical lens is closer to the glass when it's zoomed all the way out. And the eye of the lens, the iris, is able to see and capture more of the actual lumens in the room and allow those to hit the sensor. Now, when the lens physically moves, okay, when the optical lens moves and that lens draws back, what's happening is that window that the actual sensor can see is getting less and less physically. It's the nature of camera lenses. And so if you're on full manual, that means that nothing is going to adjust. And so when you zoom in, you're going to get less and less and less light, which means that the iris will not move in full manual, which means it needs to be adjusted to be wider. And if you're already operating at the maximum allowance of the iris, then the shutter speed either has to come down or you have to introduce gain. So it's a compromise as to how you want to set them up. Now, in my studio, you guys know that I don't steer these PTZs around very much unless I'm wanting to show you, like on Tuesday, I was using the P400 to show the P240 sitting in the roost. Well, that's really the only time I move these camera lenses around. And so I can do full manual and set these coloration settings and they don't change. And it's because I'm not going in and out. But if I was to take the 200 and I was to zoom all the way in to my face, the image would get darker and darker and darker because the sensor is actually seeing less and less light in the room. It's the same thing. I've used an example of a broadcast that I've been helping a church do for a little while now on weekends. And I've had to explain this concept several times to the volunteers there. And it's not that they don't get it. It's just that we have lots of volunteers. So we're zooming in, and there's all this stage light, and it's super bright when the camera's all the way back. But when we zoom all the way in, it eliminates a lot of the room light, and the sensor can't see those lumens. And so that's what's going on, is that it's not really it's not an issue. It's not a fault. It's actually the nature of optical lenses. Now, the 240 behaves, I haven't tested this necessarily, but the 240 has a different sensor, a bigger sensor. And so it allows more light to hit the sensor and you to need to compensate less for that function. I won't say it doesn't do it, but then the actual nature of lenses, it actually requires less compensation for that to work, which is why BirdDog Jake has gone on record and said the low light performance on the P240 outclasses the 200. And that's look, if Jake says that, if Phil Lane were to say that, you can trust that. Take it to the bank, man, because that is an opinion that you 100% can stand behind. So if they say it, I believe it because they're seeing it and doing it all the time in the field. Did you ever do the ghost pepper popcorn for snacks on stream? I didn't, and I should. Maybe that's how we kick off the new year. Maybe I try and figure out how to get those over the Christmas break, and then we kick that off. But Monty, what's going on? It's BirdDog Monty. Everybody loves Monty. Monty, am I allowed to share your news? Let me know. The big news, as Jerry Seinfeld would say. Shout out to Seinfeld. I'm looking into setting a PTZ setup for a soccer team. Do you have any recommendations? Well, it depends which camera. Are you using a 200 series or are you using something else? Soccer is generally played outside, but are you inside? You have any control over the lighting? And and if not, what time of day are we talking? Because obviously the sun up and sun down will be very different lighting than having the stadium lights on. So, but yeah, we can give you some ideas. It looks like I've got lots of salesmen here. Phil says, "Hey, I'll be there for that one." Excellent. The year-end stream. I'm looking forward to it now. Now I'm totally we're totally doing this. So good. Can't wait. Be good to see everybody again anyways. So yeah, we can definitely give you some recommendations. Question: is there a best way to get system audio from a computer, presentation computer, and send it using the NDI or network to the audio mixer? Well, there's a couple ways you can do this. From the computer over the network. Well, obviously the BirdDog way is you could marry that audio out of the computer, so 3.5 millimeter jack more than likely, and plug it into a BirdDog device that's encoding. So if you got a camera nearby or something like that. We don't have audio throwdown boxes yet. I don't know if we're making those, but it's a great idea. But you could convert it that way. You could also convert, I believe, an audio source on your presentation computer, hopefully it's a PC, with Audio Direct, which is an NDI program. And Audio Direct will allow you to take any input and convert it into an NDI audio feed. This is one of those functions that I want to talk about next week when we do the NDI audio show, because I haven't played around enough with it and I don't know how consistent it is. But I've heard rumors that that is the function of Audio Direct from ndi.tv/tools. So that would then turn it into an NDI stream, get it on the network, and then you could pull it down on the other side. That's probably the free way to do it as of right now. Or if you already have a BirdDog device, integrate it into the audio channel there. Michael Graves, do they still teach people to use scopes? They might as well. Blackmagic scopes are good. It's true, and we have a Blackmagic device here that does scopes, and it's all right. But, you know, we toss those on the NDI5 camera update, so you can just use that as well. Seems like it's all about if it looks good. I find that that's the case, right? Like, the people who are paying for the show, what do they want it to look like? That's really who matter, because they're going to keep employing you if it looks good. It's not about it being like subjectively good to the masses. It's about like who's writing the paycheck. Let's be honest about that. Hey, thanks, man, for all the answers. Every live show, I note something new, which is awesome. I am flattered that you feel that way, because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you hope that people are taking stuff away. So I am honored that you say something like that. So WFM all the way. I had to replace my Ember. Their support was amazing. Enamel came off the inside of the mug. Yikes. How are you scrubbing that thing, man? I'm just using like a regular whisker brush. I probably use this 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe I'm not using it as often as you do. So you had it replaced by Ember? Because you said that. Because you said their support was amazing. So here's hoping. Because that, you know. But hopefully I don't have that problem. Now, the other guy that has an Ember that I know is Eamon. So, co-owner of BirdDog. Eamon is also an Ember fan. So there's a little useless information for you to file away for another day. Currently not using scopes, but I'm looking for options to include it in the system. It seems a little on the edge going just of what looks good, especially if your monitors aren't accurate. Now I think you hit it on the head there, Alex, in terms of making sure people understand. I have 3 monitors that I'm looking at here, okay? So I've got a Dell computer monitor that's running a vMix machine. I have another Dell monitor that's running on a Mac that's running StreamYard. And then I have a Samsung TV that's running my Confidence monitor that's coming off of a Play. All 3 of those screens look different. Well, the 2 Dell monitors are pretty close, but the Samsung definitely looks different. And so I use an iPad that has an OLED display to check the feed generally. And then I have these 2 Dells, which seem to be fairly accurate. And then I have this Samsung that does not seem to be very accurate, but it's like 20 years old. So I can't complain too much. I am the TV has given me its full value, and it wasn't even mine. It was my dad gave it to me back in college. So it's been handed down over the ages. I have definitely got my money's worth out of this poor thing, and it's still going strong. So I'm pretty lucky. But yes, you're right. It is monitors is going to be a thing if you can afford an actual like production monitor. And here's a question for those listening in the audience. Have you ever used those feel good monitors? You see those ones on Amazon? I see them up there all the time. They're like $200 for like a 9-inch, which I think is ridiculous. Are they accurate at all? Because they promote themselves as being like inexpensive monitors for video producers. And I had somebody a little while ago that said, "Oh, I use a feel good monitor and it looks pretty well." And I was like, "Huh. I wonder if there's any like there's because we need monitors here, but we're kind of waiting on Core." So, right? Who isn't waiting on Core? We all are. Accurate monitors are pricey. That's why it's better to rely on scopes. With the experience that you can dial things in really fast using scopes, yeah, and not needing to rely on the monitor. That's an excellent point. Are there any budget options for external scopes to get started with them, or even an NDI option? The NDI option is, scopes are available on BirdDog cameras. It's pretty awesome, actually. You can enable them to set up the shot, and they were really slick about it, and they enabled it on the preview channel. You can select preview or program or both or none. So you have the option to like when you're looking at something in low bandwidth mode or proxy, it'll show the scope, but then when it goes to full, it doesn't have it on the actual screen. So like when it goes live, it's not there. But I could light them all up because Studio Monitor, like I use it to position cameras and whatever. I could light all of my cameras up to have scopes, and then I would see it in Studio Monitor, but not in vMix, because vMix brings everything in at full value, which is part of the reason why when you get more than like 5 or 6 NDI streams in vMix, you need 10 gigs, because the 1 gig card, it's just math at that point. It just won't do it. So yeah, there's that. Now I'm assuming these do it. This is the Ghost Pepper Popcorn suggestion. So if that is, let's rock and roll. Jeremy, I might need to get you to send me a link for that, and I'll place an order. Half a lifetime ago, I was an online editor in a 1-inch suite. 1-inch suite? Everything was aligned with scopes. I would hope that school still teaches that. I agree. Suggestion for a 2023, have a gadget device of the week or month. Kind of show where talk, showcase, demos, invite guests, Q&As related to have gadgets or devices along with regular updates. At what caliber of device are you referring to? Just like things that we use in production? Because I've got a handful of devices. I mean, I've talked about most of them now at length, but I would be interested to know what level of device you're talking about. Things that I would need to buy or things that I have here in the studio? That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Worthy of me writing it down, actually. I know that like the guys at HQ have asked me like, hey, if you're ever doing tutorials or whatever, like or a tip or a trick or something like that, be sure you cut it up and send it to us so we can post it on socials. So if anybody wants to learn anything, just shout it out in the chat, and then we'll toss that out there, and then we can send it over to marketing. It's a good idea, GoWeb. I tried NDI tools, but I'm getting choppy sound. Interesting. That would be a great. Yeah, we need to test that out. Well, we're gonna have an NDI audio conversation next week, so let's table that until then and see what we can find out. I haven't bought anything yet. I saw a series, but I'm not sure if they want to invest into that yet. Yeah, so the very common sports arena camera is the A200, and that camera, you mount it and it hangs, and then it has a 360-degree, spinning lens basically, and you can spin it right around. And that way you can capture pretty much any shot. I installed 3 of those in New York one weekend about 2.5 years ago. One Saturday afternoon, actually. It was I flew in the morning and I flew out at on the red eye. And they put them in on a football field, an American football field. And it was pretty cool. By the time we got it all rigged up and ready to go and adjusted. Those cameras were pretty slick. So that's a really common camera, and they're all weather. And so you can really not beat them up physically, but the weather can abuse them a bit. And they have the little window wiper on there, so you don't even have to go clean the lens or anything like that. You just stay vigilant, and that's just a trigger on the web UI. If you needed to fire that off real quick, you can do that. So I've been begging them to figure out how to program it in a button, and I think they did in the API, if I'm not mistaken. So now the API can be programmed to a function button on the keyboard, and now you can fire the window wiper via API on the keyboard, and that's super handy, right? Jeremy likes that Go Web idea, by the way. Does the P200 offer NDI and any other flavors, compressed versions, or is it just full NDI? I knew that there was software update, and I didn't know if that helped with that. So currently, it's just full NDI. There are plans to release Silicone 2, which will enable other devices or other formats, but as it is right now, it's a full NDI output. There is an SDI, a 3G SDI jack on the back of it, and an HDMI jack on the back. So if you want other outputs, those are simultaneously output as well as the NDI. So all three of those are on at the same time. So you could output it in those. If you're going to get a camera and you don't want to use the NDI function, you're going to get a camera anyways. You get a P200. You could hook it up via SDI, get it into your production system already into an existing SDI or HDMI production system, and then you can wait for the Silicone 2 update. And once that comes out, then that's going to give you HX2 and SRT probably, and a handful of others. But I don't know what the timetable for those launches are, because although they sound simple, they're actually quite complex, and we have to enable them as well as the rest of our stuff on the chip memory. So that is the plan as it is right now. But today, it's only able to do NDI full, SDI 3G, and HDMI. Jack says 70.2 degrees to 4 for the 240, and 55.8 wide to 3.2 on the 110. So it looks like the zoom is wider but shorter. Well, two things. So the housing is 100% different on these two cameras. They're not the same lens. So be very conscious of that, is that at full draw back and full forward, the lens actually sits differently, and I think it's closer in the 110 than it is on the P240. But also, the way that we do the 40 times zoom on that thing on the 240, there's a fair bit of math involved, because, again, I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to talk about, because it's very like, it's a 40 times zoom lens is what it is. I mean, it's not a 40 times optical zoom lens, but it is a 40 times zoom lens. And so the way that they do that with the larger chip and the actual optics, the optical zoom on that camera, give it a 40 times zoom, whereas the 110 has a 10 times zoom and the 20 has a 20 times optical, and that's it. It doesn't do anything else beyond that. So we may need to provide an explainer video about those stats if that's, looks like those are copied and pasted. So scopes are key. I have not seen a good 4K HDR scope. Oh, interesting. I have don't scream at me. I have a Blackmagic 12G monitor that does 12G 4K SDI, and I need to look at it in regards to using it as a waveform viewer to see, because I know that's like one of its primary functions. But I've never used it for that reason, so no idea if it's any good or not for that. Philip, what's going on? That does not cost the earth. This is from a conversation I was having previously, and now I've forgotten what I've said. I'm very sorry. I use every day. I do that all the time, by the way. I use this every day of the week. I lightly clean it, and the enamel came off. Yeah, they replaced it for me. Fantastic. That's good. That's good news. UK recommended sales and installation company. oh, this is where I need Phil to step up here. In the UK specifically, yeah, Phil, if you're still watching, Phil, give a little shout out to your favorite installer over in the UK. We have a handful of them that we work with, so he will definitely be able to help here. Feel World, that's the one. They're great monitors, but not quite accurate. The monitors that I use for my vMix machine isn't terribly accurate, but it fits perfectly in a Pelican 1600. Nice. Scopes help. I would recommend Portkeys on the affordable side. Portkeys, good to know. I have a 7-inch Lilliput monitor. I can't speak to its accuracy, but the image looks good. The backlight has started to get flaky, though. See, that's my concern is like I would leave it on most of the time. And so if it would only last a year, then it's like, it'd be better to use a more expensive monitor. But then, full disclosure, we've had issues with the ones that we have too, and we've had them fixed. So it may just be par for the course. vMix has built-in scopes, has had built-in scopes for a long time. I have a Feel World monitor on order for the play-by-play voiceover guys in our arena. Oh, that's cool. Nate, when that arrives and you use it for a week or two, let me know how that is going. I'd be very interested to know your results. Will the NDI5 update for converters introduce scopes? I don't know. I don't think so. If I were to understand the scope of the project, I don't believe it does involve adding that. But, that's my educated guess. That's not necessarily hard fact. So there you go. Yeah, I've used vMix until now. I'm looking to have it on a separate stream, constantly visible on the side. It's smart. It's always good to have a thing to do the thing, right? And not a jack of all trades, master of none, yada, yada, yada. I know that phrase is not complete, but whatever. BirdDog devices primarily along with others like Netgear. That's what I'd like to hear. Can you teach me about NDI? Phil, did your account get jacked? I think this is a bot. And the winky face that he put on there also looks like a bot. So I think somebody has tied Phil to his chair and is typing on his behalf and is trolling my channel now. I have an A200 that's been installed since the summer of 21 and haven't had any issues with the camera. It's survived a Michigan winter as well. You're in Michigan? We're in Michigan. We're over in Auburn Hills. Where are you? What's happening? What's happening, neighbor? River Radio. Thanks. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for popping by. Philip says Omniscopes look good. No Omniscopes. I'm going to have to look that up. Leader makes some really nice scopes, but they're, for money simples. That's super expensive. They better be nice if they're that expensive. Where are you based out of, Ian? And what is the install? Hey, it's John. Hey, it's Senseless. What's going on? So happy for you to join us for the end of the first hour. The percentage of zoom doesn't mean too much without knowing the millimeter. For example, 40 times lens at 3.5 is not much more than a 20 times at 7.8. Boom. Oh, up in Grand Rapids. That's cool. You're over in Grand Rapids. That's cool. Are you with a school or you said you had a soccer field? I didn't know. Is it a specific institution? We should plan to pop over there at some point actually the owners come here, they go to Auburn Hills and then they go over to Chicago to meet up with some of our retailers. So maybe they could pass through Grand Rapids and check you out. Maybe I'll jump in the car and fly back. That'd be fun. Films is located in Costa Rica, and so a lot of rain and sun. Humidity is through the roof. So that A200 seems like a good option for that soccer setup. I would agree. And I believe the A200's internal lens chamber is also gas filled, so it doesn't fog internally. So there you go. That would help you out with the humidity problems. Calvin University, right on. I know Calvin. Very cool. A lot of the guys that work out of this office went to Rochester College / University now. So that's over here in Rochester Hills. Kind of a sister Christian school. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So we are through the first hour, and I promised you that we're going to do snacks on stream today. So I definitely want to give that a go, and we're going to try that out here in the second hour. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We're going to keep going for a little bit. So let's do it.
John's just making up stuff to start drama.
Look, I don't know.
Look at him.
Wish me luck, folks. It's my first Vegemite.
Oh, the playlist. My bad. Let's try that again.
John's just making up stuff to start drama.
Look, I don't know.
Look at him.
Wish me luck, folks. It's my first Vegemite experience.
Final, this is like cheese flavor or something. It doesn't really look too appetizing.
Good golly, this is something else, man.
Here's the thing about Pop Rocks, and I don't know if I'm the only one like this. Pop Rocks have always been a social experience for me.
I did not think that is what you were going to say. That's hilarious.
That is awful. Oh, gosh, that's so bad. Jeez. Holy smokes, man.
Yep. It is that time again, everybody. Little snacks on stream today. Partially brought to you by our good friend Balu, who hooked me up with the 10 grams of protein Gatorade Zero. I'm assuming that means 0 calories. With protein, 0 sugar protein, thirst quencher powder, fruit punch, naturally flavored with other natural flavors. So, it's not 0 calories. It's 45 calories per serving. That's not the end of the world, which probably is mostly sugar? No, 0 sugar. So what do we got here? Let's take a look. Contains milk ingredients. How is that possible? Whey protein isolate, citric acid, maltodextrine. Yeah, now we're getting into things I don't know how to even pronounce. Sodium citrate, salt, monopotassium phosphate, natural flavors. Oh, okay. Sucralose, so there's the sweetener. Silicone dioxide, something potassium, and good old Red 40. I got to put that on the label because I actually know people who are allergic to Red 40. Shout out to all of you that are allergic to Red 40. Do not buy the Gatorade Zero Gatorade with protein. Anyways, we're going to give that a try as our thirst quencher shortly after we have Warheads. So these are, let me get back here to a reasonable view. So these are, I found these at a dollar store, and I thought, and ironically, they were $1.25. So I found these at a dollar store, and they are supposed to be like Warhead Power Sour. But we'll see, because I've been very disappointed with Warheads. Now, these ones are like chewy, they're like Warhead chewables. So we'll see. But let's give them a go and see how it fares out. Let's give them the good old sniff test. Oh, that smells good. These are blue raspberry, evidently. So here we go. I'm assuming you're supposed to chew them. That's the purpose of them being chewy, right? All right. Back to the chat. Dirt is also... Touche. I was allergic to Red 40 for like 3 years. No kidding. Learn something new about you every day, Balu. Inflation at BirdDog John. $1 equals $1.25. Yeah, and then plus tax. I was like, wait, is this a dollar store? I know that in Canada, the Dollarama is now it's like a Five Below. It's like everything up to $5, which is $5. Technically, you could do that with any amount of money, right? I run a dollar store. Everything's $100. Like, wait, what? Okay. That one that I ate was chump change. So we're gonna do a whole handful. Here, wait, we're gonna do a whole handful of these. maybe we'll up the sour power. Let's find out. No. No. Not sour at all. Major disappointment. Like, oh, they're less sour than Sour Patch Kids. Yeah, brutal. They don't even taste as good as Sour Patch Kids. Oh, super disappointed. Bummer. You fail, Warhead. Fail. I mean, I'm going to eat them, but you fail. All right. Dollar Tree facepalm. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the source that I got them from. Let's see. What's the expiration date? They got to put one of those on there, right? Best if used by February 16th, 24. Always makes you question eating something that doesn't expire for almost 3 years. When was it made? Does it give us a manufacture date? Guess not. Yeah, it's crazy disappointment. They're not even really good flavor. I still go, though. Yeah, me too. You don't know how old they are. Well, I know when they expire. More than another year away. Gosh, they kind of taste expired right now. Yeah. Wait, the candy or me? Because both might be true. But as you all know, I have abused my taste buds over the past couple of years for your benefit and enjoyment. I would say, though, if you're looking for something sour, man, I was thinking this was going to be something else, man, something different. It says sour, sweet, fruity. I don't know what, I don't know who is classifying that as sour. There is nothing sour about that candy. It's just sugar. Straight up. Now I want sour candy. Yeah, me too. This is my struggle now. But for candy, it seems like they should have a long shelf life. Well, they absolutely do. That's disappointing. The Warhead hard candy are fantastically sour. Now, I've eaten those on here too, and I think I got used to them. We had Toxic Waste, which is basically just Warheads. Same company. And one show I ate like a dozen of those. And I can't figure out why I'm not losing weight. It's so weird. It baffles the mind. All right, well, let's hope that Mr. Balu's discovery. Now, this is just a regular bottle of drinking water that he has poured this into and mixed it up for me. So he's been the chef today and got it all squared away. I was discussing what the plan was with Brayton, or at least I overheard what the plan was with Brayton, and he just said, yeah, I'm running out of ideas. So we're going to have to do some research. We're going to have to, make him take a half a day and just research crazy things. But I don't know if I want to, so the one chip challenge is still out there. And I've just seen people, eat it, and they're like, it just tastes bad. It's, burning and bad. Also, I've been told those gummy bears, the diet ones, or the sugar-free ones, they don't exist anymore, but they induce, they induce the waterfall. And so I'm not too sure I want to find those because I'm not interested in streaming while eating those. And apparently they work within 5, but they're basically a laxative. All right, here we go. Woo. Oh, that's... for a powder, that's actually not that bad. This is more sour than the Warhead. That's not that bad. So much so that I would drink that again. $10 grams of protein, eh? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's Gatorade. Wow, it's like Amazon's listening to my conversation. 0 powder packs. All right, let's have a little look-see and see what other options we've got out there, because Baldy was generous enough to purchase this, and he was like, all right, here's what you're having. And so, yoink. So can you guys, yeah, you guys can see this, hey? Like that. Okay, cool. So here is the Amazon options. The Amazon choice are Gatorade Glacier Cherry. That's one that he offered me. Ooh, what is this one? Gatorade sugar-free. What's the flavor? Grape. Ooh, I love me some grape. Yeah, maybe this is something I invest a little bit in. This is the fruit punch one. This one, 5 calories per pack. Wait, hey, hang on, that's not what it says. It says 45 calories. 40 calories or less. What? Is this not the same one? 0. Oh, this isn't the protein one. That's why. Okay, got it. Powder packs, protein. Sunday. All right, so here we go. This is the variety pack that maybe he got. Protein sticks, whey, protein isolate. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so this is the fruit punch one, Glacier Freeze and Glacier Cherry. Right on. All right. $20 for how many? How many are in each? So 30, they're all 45 calories. But 10 grams, I mean, it's kind of a trade-off, right? Not too bad. So it'd be all right for, like, travel, right? You're, like, not getting enough protein while you're traveling around. Cool. All right. I'm going to check that out. Fantastic. Whoa. And now I want something sour. That's disappointing. It was a workout. No, don't worry. I got ideas for the next. Oh, boy. I'll pass them along. Protein. We have 3 options in the office. Boom. Glacier Cherry, Glacier Freeze, and Fruit Punch. It depends on how much powder you spill. That's true. Enough to lightly dust the table. It's true. I had a little bit on the table when I picked up the package, and it was like, and it like dusted the table. So then I was like, oh boy, but all good. All right, so I approve this way more than I approve those blue Warheads. I really like blue raspberry candy. I think it's good taste, but those taste poor and they're not sour. If they were like crazy sour and they made your teeth hurt, but they didn't taste very good, I'd still probably give them a pass. But they fail on both levels, and that is uber disappointing because someone explained to me this picture. Right? This guy's head is exploding on the package. I don't understand what you mean by that. That doesn't mean anything to me. That's not happening to anybody anywhere in the world while eating these candies, unless they're diabetics. So, yeah, I don't know what that. I disagree, Mr. Warhead Company. I don't think that it's an accurate description of what's going on. But John became a magician. That's 5 calories lost forever. Yeah, that on the package, yeah, his face does look pretty puckered, right? What is that? What is that? You all witnessed me eat a whole handful. It's probably like a dozen of them, right? And I like shoved them all in my mouth thinking, all right, let's just overload it. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't, nothing will induce that. I'm sorry. Nothing will induce that face. The shame. That's all right. Balu has a few others to try, so we could recoup those calories if needed. Oh, my word. Good times. So, let's talk about the Stream Deck that I have here in the office that I'm using with Companion, and I'm programming vMix buttons because I've added a couple. I know that I talked about this 2 weeks ago, but I added a couple that I want to give an example. Maybe I can put it like here and you guys can see. Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. So I'll put it next to these nasty candies. And we'll just cut over to it. So this is my Stream Deck. And it's just my own personal one. And stinking playlist. Get out of here, man. So this is the Stream Deck that I'm using for this show. And these are just the buttons that I use most often. And so I threw them on here. But I've also got several like other things that fire, mostly sound effects, that fire on this. And that's what I use this primarily for because I've got the good old X keys that have, I use clear labels for this. You can't see them because the LED lights are, or the lights are on. But there are labels that we have a clear label maker outside with like clear tape. You can't even see it. No, with tape that's clear, and I just made labels and stuck them on here for these shortcuts. And then inside of vMix, I did triggers that obviously then when you press a button, it does something. So if I want to cut between, preview and program, I can do that really quickly. I can also set up the preview, or I can change the program. So if I need to jump to a different, window, I can do that here pretty fast and dump the video. So that's really nice. So I've got the traditional, I can set up the program window, and you can't see me doing that, but I can set up the program window and then cut to that. And then I can change the program window and then cut to that. So really nice, handy to have. And of course the confidence monitor that's underneath the camera, that tells me everything I need to see and for the next shot. So that's really helpful. And some of those options, I mean, you could do all of those things here on Stream Deck as well. The LED screen is nice and you can customize the words and what have you. But I really like I do this pages thing where I can cycle through.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Did I seriously mute myself? Oh my gosh, how long have I been talking with that on? It's this button right here that I mute myself. Oh, we lost you. How long has that been? At least a minute. Anyway, so I can jump between. It's probably because I probably changed scenes or something like that, and it dumped the microphone. Anyways, so I have fade up and fade down, and the timing on that, they're a little bit different. I don't know if you heard me say that, but the fade up is a little quicker and the fade out is a little slower. There is an actual cough button on here, and that is just that mute button. Muted. I was muted, So there's 2 mute spots there that I could screw up, I guess. I can load the Snacks on Stream video into the preview. So preview Snacks on Stream, and then stop and start the playlist. So that's what this is. So we can go start the playlist, and it goes through the actual options, or I can turn that off in that regard. I do that here, so stop and start. I can fade between the two, so if I want to actually run the transition, or I can cut between the two, also super handy. And then this changes the menu. So I have several sub menus, right, between like dividing up like my camera shots, my background stuff, and all of that. So this is just a quick way to jump between those fields so that I can grab those quickly if I want to throw up a video, or if I need to run out there for a reason while the show is live, I can put up a video and then come back. So sorry about that, everybody. Audio? He muted himself. Mike is gone. He's muted. I can hear you from the studio, but not on the stream. My bad, everybody. My bad. I was gone for about 30 seconds, apparently. So, yeah. So, welcome to Novice Hour here on the, the BirdDog stream. That's how that goes. And that happens every now and then. Anyways, we are figuring it out as we go along. It's hilarious, too, because I have several places that show the audio meters, and I totally didn't even catch it. So, obviously, that doesn't work. So, I probably need to find another solution. Now, Zendesk has an option that you can run and link it to an audio source, and then you can have it on, like it sits on top, and it will flash when there's no audio, and you could even set thresholds. So that's kind of cool. It's something that I kind of gave up when I switched over to vMix, because this happened once before. But yeah, it's when I switched over to vMix, I stopped using it, and evidently I should be using it. So let's add that to the startup options. So Zendesk, oh, whoops. Wrong computer. So, let's see if I can find that app in my list of apps. Go down here. What was that folder called? Apparently it's not in here. Crap. Hang on. Might just be sitting on my desktop. Audio. No audio. It's called the no audio display meter. So the program floats on top, evidently. And you have to select your audio source that you want to use. Here, I'll select the vMix. Oh, I can select the vMix output. That's cool. And I can put it over here on this secondary monitor. So the audio's okay. Now, if I stop talking. Oh. And it's beeping in my ear as well. Now, it's weird because the here, I can share this screen because maybe you guys would want to see this. I don't know. So here is the audio meter from Zendesk, and it's listening to the NDI feed. And so it's showing pretty low audio. But then again, I level it. Nah, it's not that low. I level it out to about like -12 or -8, somewhere in there. And so I can definitely leave this running. What I should do is, stupid playlist. Gosh, drives me nuts. Okay. So here is that audio channel. And I actually do, like, my audio comes out of vMix at around level 12, -12. So that's probably accurate. I don't need to manipulate that too much. But when you stop talking, and it's beeping in my ear, I'm not too sure. Does that come through? Let me see where that audio comes through. Okay, so it doesn't show up in vMix. So that's really helpful because then my ears will beep when there's no audio. All right, I'm totally adding this to the start menu. Another little shout out to ZenNDI for making useful tools all the way across the pond. I believe he's in the UK. Now, when I stop talking to like think, it's going to beep. That'll be annoying. But I'd rather it beep and indicate that there's dead air than me not know that I'm muted. So vMix now has a low audio alert as well. Oh, really? Interesting. Maybe we would check that out. I believe they introduced it in version 25. I'm definitely running that. There is a way. Is there a way to signal when accidentally muted? Just like a tally light. Yeah, the issue. Well, the audio bars are in vMix. I mean, they don't go up and down when you're not actually sending anything out. But obviously I missed it, and so I actually probably need an audio alert when the audio stops. But if vMix can do it, that's cool. I'd be down for that. So have you been able to play more with the 240? What are your thoughts? I have been able to play with the 240 a fair bit more. I also gave it to my team, so they've been able to play with it a fair bit to see, what they think of it, how to set it up. They've even been playing with some new software that we've been working on, and so they've used the 240 in that instance, and it seems to work pretty well, so that's great. My thoughts are out of the gates. Now, I've used the 200 for a couple of years now, and it's my go-to camera for this show and for just in general. If I'm thinking about BirdDog cameras, I'm usually thinking the 200 because that's the baseline. It's our most popular camera, and it's done, it's done really well in the market. The thing I noticed with the 240 is that it's right out of the gates, it's equal to the 200. And I haven't really explored it too much, and as to like what else it's capable of, and what sort of options we get when you because of the sensor that we have inside. And so I have been monkeying around with it a little bit more since Tuesday's show, and I think it's right on par with the 200. The nice thing is that on paper it's got the same specs or better, and so for the, if you were to pit them one-on-one, obviously the 200 is an older camera, and so it's a little less expensive at this point because the 240 is out. But yeah, I think if you're to just pit them one-to-one, the 240 is going to win. And I make that assessment also with the conversations I've had with guys in sales who have extensive camera use, and they also feel strongly that the 240 is a really nice step up from the 200 series, and the 200 is like the go-to. That's that has been our flagship camera for a very long time, and it's been fairly reliable and also very well received. So yeah, I'm happy with what I'm seeing there. No, we can't hear the beeping in the feed. Excellent. Zen software is a treasure. Yeah, seriously. I've always been impressed with it. I've always been very impressed with Zen software, and just like the simplicity of it, that it doesn't have to overcomplicate itself to make it work. So I really like it, and I am going to head on over to my run menu. We're going to type in shell : startup. We're going to open the startup folder, and then we're going to open up another browser. And inside this browser, we're going to look at the desktop folder, and we're going to go to the No Audio Meter app, and we're going to make a shortcut into there. Oh, it copied the application. Wait a minute. That may not have been a good idea. I don't want to copy the application. I want to make a shortcut. So we're going to make a shortcut for the audio meter. So that create shortcut. Yoink. There we go. All right. And then we're going to put that in the startups so that when my computer turns on, that will happen. And what's really cool about this app is that it stays on top. So you can put it anywhere, try and get it out of the way. I'm just going to put it in the top left-hand corner of my screen, and we're good to go. So there is hopefully the end of my audio woes. No guarantee, everybody, but here's hoping. That is the reality. Plus, Martin from Zen is a really nice guy. You know what? I have heard that every time his name comes up. I don't know if that's like his slogan. He's like, hey, I'm Martin from Zen. I'm a really nice guy. I don't know if it's like a gag, but everybody always says, and Martin from Zen, he's a really nice guy. They say it every time, just like that. Whew. Ugh. That protein powder is definitely more sour than the Warheads. Good though. Good. I like something sour. That's all right. Just like Senseless's attitude. All right. Let's keep going here, folks. Yeah, that was a jab at Senseless, who's probably not watching the show at this point. I'm so brutal. So yeah, good times, everybody. Now, so we talked about the Stream Deck. We talked about the X keys. What else did I have that I changed? Oh, so one of my lights was messing up here, and it was starting to flicker. Now, I've gotten about, I don't know, year and a half out of these lights, which for the price, that let's just be honest, they weren't anything spectacular. So I think I've gotten my money's worth out of it. The old light bulbs over there, I had 3 of them, and I was really only using 2. So I've adjusted things, and we're covered here for now. But one of the items, and I don't know if anybody has any experience with these, but I've heard a good recommendation for a light called Falcon Eyes. And I looked them up on Amazon. They have good reviews. It's a nice thin panel. It's a circular panel with a filter on the front of it so that it, diffuses the light. And I'm thinking about using that as my primary. I actually have an LED up here that has a diffuser on the front of it as well. So it's my hair light, but it's not a Falcon Eyes. It's just a little less expensive version of the Falcon Eyes one. So it's just a square. I wanted one though with barn doors, and the Falcon Eyes doesn't have it. But for the main primary light, like as these light bulbs start to go out, thinking about getting 1 or 2 of those to be those. And the Falcon Eyes accept the battery, the typical battery cartridges for lights. So does this one actually. But you can install the battery on the back of it and then have a portable light that you can use wherever it is you're going, and you don't have to necessarily rely on DC power to make that happen. So considering that, it would be great to have in the studio. It would also be great as the studio expands to have real lights. The studio in Melbourne, so when I was over there in August, the studio in Melbourne was still being put together back then. But man, the lights that they had acquired were pretty sweet, like unbelievably cool and bright like crazy. Like they're like turn on the sun. So I was a little bit little jealous because my rig is not quite as fancy. But I'm thinking I had a good recommendation of the Falcon Eyes, and they only run like $150. And so for a quality light that has some strong recommendations behind it, I'm thinking I might give that a try. I don't know if anybody's had any experience with that. But yeah, he thinks I don't watch. But maybe I would watch more often if someone believed me. Yeah, maybe. But we'll see. We'll see. Well, anyways, I could be really mean here, but I won't. Clap if you believe in senseless. And the crowd went mild. Yeah, so thinking about doing a little change with the actual lights in the studio. It would, if I had 2 of them, it would really help with when we start having guests in the studio, like physically in the studio, and we're doing interviews that way. I feel like it would be a whole lot better than my current rig, because at this point we'd have to sit next to each other, which I did one time with Dan. If anybody remembers, I had Dan on the show when he was visiting in February, and that was the last day that I ever used, what was it, OBS? It was the last day I used OBS for this show. And then I had gone to Wirecast, and then I went to vMix. So there you go. All the lights that I use are ridiculously expensive. And what's hilarious about that industry is that it doesn't really have to be anymore. I mean, the ones that they had in Melbourne were also ridiculously expensive and huge and heavy and powerful and whatever. But you really don't need to go crazy. You just need, and honestly, this rig is probably $120 for the 3 lights that I had, and they're just starting to go bad now. So I don't like the way that you control the white balance on these. So the way you do it is you like flick them on and off, and I feel like that's killing the lights because the main one that I was using ended up started flickering and switching between like 2800 Kelvin and 5500 Kelvin, and it was like give it like it once it warmed up, it was fine, but it's just obviously starting to go. And I wasn't a huge fan of the way you change the color on them. So I'd rather have a panel where you can dial in, what you want, what color you're going for, and then be done with it. But you kind of need a couple to do that. One to be bright and one to be a little less to do some fill. But yeah, it's strange because you don't have to spend a fortune to make it look somewhat good, especially, and again, subjectively what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? Like, are you doing videos and recording things for social media or for bumper videos or for, I don't know, whatever you're doing? Or are you doing a live stream, or are you doing something else? Are you using lights to record interviews? Various uses, and all of those use cases will have different requirements. I use light panels at my church, only ones that I would recommend from using. More expensive, better overall LEDs. Some brands will shift colors over time. I did a side-by-side of a cheap 1x1 and a light panel. Cheap one went totally green over 2 hours. Wow. Impressive. So your recommendation is light panel. Let's have a little look-see and see what we can find out about that. Yoink. Light panel. You have a specific one that you recommend, or holy monkey, these are pricey. Yeah, okay. I could see why maybe they would perform pretty well because they're in their own realm, evidently. Okay, so, whew, man, that drink is sour. Flicker free, active and passive cooling modes. Yeah, I mean, they look amazing. I would love to learn more, but you could get a 2-pack for $3,000. That's a doozy. That's a doozy of a price, that's for sure. Now, maybe I'm just looking in the wrong place. What do they normally run you, Jeremy? Like, if you were trying to find the, look at this, with the V-mount battery bracket, and then, like, this is what I saw here, light panel, 2 set, 2V, it's just obviously a double set of the same purchase, but, for $3,000. Curious to know if you have a guy that you buy them or whatever, but yeah, they look pricey. And he just laughs at me. Yep. Well, good stuff. We buy from B&H and they have standard pricing. Okay, so that's probably who's the seller here? Oh, Adorama. So Adorama is the seller on Amazon. So B&H photo. We're going to go here and type in light panels. What are you using? The Arista or the... Yeah, so the Arista's $1,000. Oh, no, not Arista. It's Astra. Sorry. So the light panels, how do I sort by company? Come on, man. Come on, B&H. LED lights, panel lights. These are all bundles. Okay, so the 3 times. Okay, the Astra 3-time bicolor LED panel is $650 American. That's probably looks like it's the cheapest one. $720 for the Astra bifocus daylight LED panel. So if you only want one color, then it's more expensive. I don't understand. Anyways, all good to know. But if you say so, I mean, I believe you. I probably can't buy one to test, but if you say so, I will believe it. We have 3 of those and one older model bicolor. Gotcha. What about something like the Bestcore Spectre? Is that more in your price range? Why do I feel like you're sending me off into the ridiculous realm? Do I even dare? Okay, not on this site. Take a look. The Beskar Spectre. Wait, these are tiny. They bicolor on cameras. They're $53. Yeah, this is probably well within my price range at this point. Curious if yeah, they sell the Falcon Eyes on B&H. And they are like $250. All I really want is the small one, but even that, like soft lighting, especially here. Let me see if I can share this. Basically, like a big panel, and share screens. This one. So it's just this big panel, right? Has this mount or whatever. Throw a little battery on there if you have to. But oh, it's DMX controlled. DMX in. Interesting. I didn't know that. Anyway, but yeah, it's like a good little studio light, and I've heard good things about it. And so this one is the bigger one, and they have another one that is a little smaller. This one, it's only 28 watts, but it's a little smaller than the other. I feel like that's really that's all I really need. I wish that they had, oh, here. Reviews. Powerful compact LED. For the price, it's hard to beat. Lightweight, thin. Too bad the remote is hard to find online. So, yeah, people are fine with it. But this is one of those things that's like, it's so inexpensive, I may just buy it for myself, you know. Because then I'd have it. Were you guys watching that? Were you guys able to see that? Did I show that? I'm going to be annoyed if none of that showed. Because I definitely shared it, but then I totally didn't, did I? This. Share this. Yeah. Okay, StreamYard, I hate you. This is the Falcon Eyes. So this is that that one that I was looking at and thinking, oh, that might be a good option to do. There you go. You can plug it in via DC, or you can run it over a battery. And I can't imagine that the battery drains very fast because it's just an LED thing. But yeah, they have fairly good reviews, and they're various sizes. I just want to try this one out, but like I said, for $135, it's hard to not try it out. For the studio, you probably don't need a 3 times or a 6 times. Those are really bright. That's true. I would agree with that. I use this for the home office. Dials are meh. The Dracast LED 180 mobile broadcast kit. I have one of those, the Elgato ones, the Keylight, the Mini, I think, or whatever it is. Or maybe it's the full one. Anyways, but I've mounted it on an arm above my monitor. It's hilarious because I take Zoom calls up in my office, and I talk to my guys in Australia over Teams, and I have like a camera and a light and whatever, and everybody's always like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing with all that stuff? And I have a nice microphone too. Like I have the NTG2 that I used to have here. And so I always feel like my audio's better and my video looks nicer, and the lighting is good. And that's not what people are expecting when they log into Zoom. So my wife doesn't care for it because she just feels like it's too production-y. I'm like, don't you want to sound good? Don't you want to like people to be able to see you clearly and have a good? She's like, that's too much. Like, just use this 720 MacBook Pro webcam, and it hurts. It hurts when she says hurtful things. So, also from B&H, I'll check that out. In all seriousness, we use the Swit CL660. Let's find it out. Swit. Is that even on here? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. That has some nice like barn doors on it and everything. Kind of looks like the one I have up here. But mine was not $630, that's for sure. And the 120. And then the Bracast LED 180. Let me look that one up too while we're at it. LED 180. Oh, that's cool. My brother has a light like this. You don't care for it that much? Like the dials are no good? It's interesting. It's one of those circular lights, right? You put your camera in the middle. Get your nice even glow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I just think it's time. I gotta figure out what to do with the lighting, with the white light in here. It's okay. I have no qualms. It's just one of my lights started going, and I thought, oh, it's probably time to invest in something else. So there we go. All right. Well, the guys had commented last on Tuesday that I keep going way over the 1 hour show, but you guys keep chatting, and so I don't necessarily want to end because it's good to be with you guys, and of course we got a weekend coming up here, so we got one more day after today, and then the weekend will be here, and then of course we're well into December. So just a heads up, like I said earlier in the show, and I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, we oh, Jeremy, it's good to see you, man. Thank you so much for being with us. Anytime you can get on here, really appreciate that. So thanks for stopping by. All right, so we got a week off at Christmas time. So the week of the 25th, which is Christmas Day, is on a Sunday. So the 27th and 29th, we won't have a show, but the support office will be closed from Monday to Friday. And then we reopen on the Tuesday after, so the 3rd will be reopened. And we'll observe New Year's on the 2nd, and then the 3rd will be in. And so I will have a show. And evidently, we're going to do some sort of ghost pepper popcorn something or other. So come back next year for sure. But we've got 4 other shows that we're going to continue to do this year. Next week, I want to do an NDI audio conversation and see if I can drum up some folks to join me. And then, of course, the last show, which will be on Thursday the 22nd, will be all about Thursday the 22nd? Oh, yeah, okay. So that will be a round table with BirdDog. So try and get as many people as possible to join us on that show, and then we'll be able to. I've actually got a wait. Yeah. Oh, wait. End of the year? Yeah. Okay. Whew, my brain. So end of the year, Thursday, we're gonna do a show. We're gonna as many BirdDog guys as we can, and just have a kind of a chit chat about how the year went and what we're excited about for next year and all that good stuff. So got a couple of guys that are interested already. See if I can drum up a few more, and we'll have a fun little chat. Maybe I can wake up Jason Bach and have him join us too, because he'd be a blast. So anyways, we'll get after it. So we've got, this week is almost done. Hopefully you have a great weekend, and you're planning on trying to relax a little bit, if that's even in your vocabulary. But we will see you again next week, Tuesday, starting at 11. And at least for an hour, we will come and hang out and chat. One of those days next week, we're going to do an NDI audio discussion, and so probably be Thursday, just so I have enough time to look into some stuff, but also get some other folks to help me out with that one. So that show is coming up, and we will definitely take a look a little closer next week at NDI audio and how that all works. But in the meantime, be well, take care of yourselves. If you need something from us between now and Tuesday, do not hesitate to reach out to us over at help@birddog.tv. Obviously, this is an email address, and it will start a ticket for you. And you can chat with my support agents who are working like crazy to get through all of that and get everybody kind of situated before the end of the year and carry us over into January. And they're doing an excellent job of that, by the way. Seriously, the guys that work in my office, I can't speak for the guys in Melbourne, but the guys that work in my office, guys and gals, they're doing a great job, and you really should not be nervous about submitting a support ticket, because they will get back to you. We will do what we can to help you out. Especially, we know that like productions are coming up here at the end of the year, so make sure those things are happening. You can also tweet us, though, if you really want to. You can tag us in a post on Twitter at help_BirdDogTV, and that also feeds into the support desk. And so if you want to if you're on the go and it's like, I need somebody to chime in on this, and you fire off a tweet and tag us in it, we can respond to you. We can also DM you from the system. And so if the explanation is going to be a little bit longer, then we can send you a direct message, and that's all well and good. So this is a new service that we're offering. Part of the reason, and I'll try and be quick on this, is part of the, my brain is constantly trying to figure out, like, what are the ways that we can service, because this department, the guys in that office right there, are servicing people from around the world. And so I don't want to light up things that are specific to the U.S. because that's only like a third of the total market. And so I want to be sure that my support department is able to service everybody all over the place. If you're GoWeb and you're over in India, or if you're Jason Bach and you're over in Asia somewhere, or if you're, the guys over in Blonde Robot over in Melbourne, or if you're here in the U.S. and you're over in California or Texas, or you're in Montana, or you're over in New York City, or if you're over in Europe, in all of the European countries and the UK because they left the EU, and anywhere you are, I want to be sure that our options for you to reach us are accessible for you. And so that's my primary concern, and that's where I'm focused right now, is figuring out ways to funnel information and questions and problems into a way that we can help manage it, but also get back to you in a convenient location. So lots of people want specific things. We're trying to maximize our resources the way that we possibly can. And with the team that I have right now, we've lit up that Twitter channel. Feel free to tweet at us if you're on the road or on the go, or you have a thought or whatever and you want to send it off to us. We can respond to you, and we can respond to you directly back to Twitter. So no emails required. Some people really hate email. Like they hate doing it, or they've had a bad experience with support over email, and they'd rather use a social media channel to do it. Boom. Now you can use Twitter to do that. We're looking into other options to see what else we have, but this feeds directly into the system where the team can respond to you. So feel free to utilize that. Feel free to give it a try. Just say, hey, I heard a rumor that this thing is a part of BirdDog support. Just want to see if it works, and give us some time. We'll get back to you. It's just like anything else. It gets added to the list of things that we need to address, and the guys are working through those in a very systematic way. So reach out to us there, or at help@birddog.tv. Happy to obviously chat with you there and sort things out. That's a really convenient place to send you PDFs and video links and stuff like that. But whatever works for you, whatever works. We're trying to meet you in the middle. And hey, if you don't like either of those options, guess what? You can come back here Tuesday, Thursdays at 11 o'clock Eastern time here in the U.S. Happy to chat with you. Happy to offer any sort of solutions I might be able to come up with, and we can chat through those things with people inside the chat. So it's always great. It's always good to have questions. It's always good. Like, I was thinking about this too, as and maybe we need to start pushing this a bit, is BirdDog is more than just like a manufacturer, right? Like we're not like a faceless corporation that you bought a camera from and now you've got to send it off for repairs and no one's going to get back to you, and it's going to be kind of like very autocratic and very, very mechanical, Instead, we try our best to be available. You guys know Dan and Eamon love to get in front of a camera and talk to people about what they're doing and how they're doing it, and what would be better and what's going well. They love doing that stuff. They're on the Facebook group for a reason. They're not just there to put out fires. They're there to talk to you and to be a part of that NDI community. Well, same thing here. The Twitter account and the support desk, those are ways that you can reach us. But like something like this where you can just come and chat with us, I love it. And I think that we are human beings, and we have families, and we have lives, and we have concerns and fears and all that sort of good stuff. We're living and breathing, and we want to come alongside you too and talk about your projects and about what it is that you're experiencing and struggling with, and also your successes, and celebrate those. And this is a great place to do that. So plan to join me whenever you can. 11 to 12 on Tuesday, Thursdays. I'm happy to run alongside you and try crazy, disappointing snacks, and also sour drinks, and do crazy things and talk about whatever it is that's on your mind, and we'll go from there. So hopefully you've had a good experience. Hopefully today is a bright day for you, and we'll plan to see you again in after the weekend. You have a great weekend, Jeremy. The thing to look out for is if you don't want to be able to see the individual LEDs, you want them diffused a fair bit. And that's what I've got in this guy as well. There's a diffuser because you can see the LEDs. So I've put a pretty heavy diffuser there. I've always had an excellent experience with your support team. They're doing a great job. I agree. And if I could request one thing, if you've had a good experience with support, throw that up on social media, because Facebook turns into a place that can easily become a place to complain. And so having positive things on there too is always really helpful, helps balance out the perception of things. But typically if you have a great experience, all is well, and you don't think anything of it. But if you have a bad experience, then you go to nth degrees to get answers. And so I get it, the nature of social media, but it'd do us a huge favor if you'd say something kind online too. So we appreciate you, Angus. We know that you've had a good experience. I think there was a ticket or something like that came in and it passed my desk. They always, okay, full disclosure, when people write compliments and tickets, we pass those around. Like, we look at those like, oh, look what somebody said. Like, we legitimately do that because everybody needs encouragement. And so it's important, and it's great that you're having a great experience. We really appreciate you saying something. So thanks so much, folks. It has been a pleasure, as always, to be with you. And now we will say adieu until tomorrow. Until next week on Tuesday at 11. And you've got some planned shows coming up, so be sure to come back. And I will do my due. If I have these planned shows that we're going to do, I'll try and put them up as scheduled shows, and so you can set a notification or whatever on over on YouTube at birddogjohn.tv, and that way you'll know that those shows are coming up. Okay? Be well. Take care of each other. Have a great weekend, and we will see you in just a few more days. Cheers, guys.
Minutes remaining.